So recently we've seen Cam Thomas start killing 3 straight 40-point games, getting his opportunity, but trust me, he's been doing this at Oak Hill, at LSU, even when he's gotten his opportunities with the Nets. And I truly believe that he's going to be a special scorer in the league for a long time. Keeps it pretty simple, but also very creative. He can make shots with the best of them, and he can adapt to anything the defense gives him. So let's break down his scoring ability. So number one, in terms of shooting, I think the first thing to note here is that he actually has a really interesting form, where he kind of winds it up from the left side. And clearly, this doesn't hurt him much. Just another example of a player who goes a bit against that quote-unquote traditional jump shot, but still makes it work at the highest level. And actually, honestly, it seems to kind of help him get shots off, since he's bringing it around where the defense would usually reach in. His elevation and high release are big time too. Not only does he release it above his head, but he really gets up in the air and he shoots it at the top of that jump. So I doubt you'll see many players block this shot. And because of that comes a special level of confidence. When you know that you can get damn near any shot off because of that high release and high elevation point, you're pretty much confident shooting any shot. And I think that's why there's really never any hesitation in his game, in his shots. If it's off the dribble, he knows he can get it off in damn near any situation, so it's super confident. If it's a catch and shoot, he's catching and shooting it as his plan A every single time. And just having this mindset of shooting first, not hesitating, looking for the shot, and I think more players should develop this mindset. Then of course, if he gets run off the line and his space is really suffocated, then he'll attack that closeout. But the shot is the first option, and he's making them take that away. So in terms of how he creates separation off the dribble, one of his bread and butter shots is this misdirection separation. And he'll do this in a couple of ways. Number one is really trying to create separation back. So maybe adding in an extra tap to that, without traveling of course, really pushing back and creating space, and then elevating into the air. And then another one is just this more relaxed one, this kind of James Harden style one. So more so just quickly getting that defender's momentum on their heels and then slightly stepping back and raising up. Either one of these works, it just depends on the situation. In terms of separation in the pick and roll, like I alluded to earlier, his patience makes it seem like he's been in the league for years. Moving at a slower pace, constantly scouting out the perfect spot on the court to get to, but again, never rushing getting there, and allowing time for that play to unfold. He's also really good here at using these sudden changes of angle to find the perfect path to that spot too. And even outside of the pick and roll, these angles are something to take note of. He's not always going straight towards the rim. Sometimes he'll get some resistance, or he'll notice that the space in front of him is occupied, and he'll re-angle himself laterally. And this is really important. Pull-ups don't always have to be directly on the line to the rim. In fact, we should train them moving to the side too, or moving to different spots on the court, not just directly towards that paint. And then also in the mid-range, he's crazy physical getting his separation. He's usually the one initiating the contact, trying to find any way possible to bump his defenders, and even probably just waiting for that defender to give up. It's tough to take contact like this all game and continue to contest every shot at max intensity.
Thomas, the cross, the lead.
Speaking of the mid-range, he's really good at leaving defenders in the dust in this area. What I mean by that is this. He's able to get their hips turned by getting an angle on them and forcing them into a sprint. So then as their hips are turned, he quickly pops off the floor into a high elevation midi. So by the time he's even releasing the ball, they're still on the ground. They just don't have the time to react, turn back, and then jump to contest the shot. And this is insanely tough to defend. Other times though, he's able to take it slower, hop into a super high elevation, and just shoot over defenders. Again, definitely a benefit of having such a high release point. Nonetheless, it's impressive to not be affected by all these crazy contests. And if neither of those, he's great at exaggerating these fades around the mid-range to be a lower, almost one motion shot to get sufficient power on these faders. And this speaks to my last point, which is his adaptability. His proficiency to be a shot maker and make weird, off-balance, double clutch shots. Literally whatever the situation is asking of him. And to be a really good scorer, this is necessary. There will be times where it's not the perfect shot, but he makes it work regardless.
Brooklyn led at a 1-point lead at the end of the first quarter.
Now a little bit about his ball handling. His simplicity is what's most impressive to watch. When you pose such a threat to raise up and knock down any shot, and you're crazy physical, you're probably wasting energy if you're doing more than just a few moves to get where needed. Don't get me wrong, he's creative and can definitely get in that bag if he wants to, but keeping it simple is clearly the first option, and for good reason. One of his favorite things to do are these kind of herky-jerky hezzies or half stops, where he may fake a shot, may not, but it's more so just about putting a stop in his momentum to throw off that defender's timing, get them to slow down for a split second before he speeds back up. Also, watch how many weird positions he's able to catch himself in and get out of as he's handling the ball. This takes a lot of dynamic strength, mobility, and the ability to quickly adjust. But if you can do this, it allows you to make the most out of the weird situations we'll naturally get into as hoopers. Then finally, his finishing. His touch here is crazy, which we can see with the floater game, especially these rotating floaters, where he's going left, and then either unpredictably and quickly puts it up, or just raises up over everyone and shoots that floater over his defenders. But to me, that's only the surface of his touch. Now just watch these few shots where it's a middle ground between a floater and a layup. To me, this is one of the toughest shots in basketball. You don't really know whether to shoot it like a floater or a layup, but he makes them look easy, even at high speed, with defenders in his face.
Couple of fakes. Thomas all the way.
Bowles and scoops ahead to Thomas. Cam Thomas into the lane.
Also, on the way to the rim, he's really good at getting skinny through compact spaces. So basically slipping through these gaps, protecting the ball, and using this to burst into more open space around the rim. He also appears to be an amazing high-speed single-leg jumper, which is a huge plus for attacking the rim. Of course, there are a lot of great one-foot jumpers in the NBA, but he seems to be more comfortable than the average player, jumping explosively at a high speed. This allows him to raise up with the trees, or defenders who are on his hip, and get a vertical advantage. And because of this, sometimes to me, he's one of those guys who can just get up in the air and figure it out from there. Maybe not literally, but he's so confident in his ability to get up, take contact, and work around big defenders that he doesn't question it. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, hopefully you guys are able to take something from this dissection of his game and his scoring ability. I'm excited to see how his career progresses, and hopefully I'll be making another one of these in a few years. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at ByAnyMeansBasketball for a lot more, and continue to stay tuned.